I think we're going to get started. I am Jill Woggy, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Traditional Home magazine, and our brand has a deep love of luxury kitchens and baths, deep and historic, and you can imagine we have a deep love of makers and craft and the quality that goes into a luxury kitchen and bath. So I'm so excited to moderate this panel today with our amazing group of panelists. First, I want to introduce Sepp. His company Maestro Bath is the sponsor of this event today. So take it away for your couple of minutes here.
Thank you so much, Jill. It's a great honor to be among this incredible group of designers, architects, builders, and makers. My name is Sepp Saba. I'm one of the co-founders for Maestro Bath. And for the past 2 decades that we have been in the business, we had the privilege of serving as a cultural bridge between our local interior designers, architects, showroom partners, and some of the most extraordinary makers throughout historic cities of Italy. These artisans have been manufacturing products for decades and passing the artisan techniques down from one generation to another. Our mission is to ensure these beautiful, amazing jewelries and piece of art is introduced to the US market while we are able to protect their heritage, tell their stories, and honor it. And most importantly, we want to make sure these products are functional and also they can last hard cleaning materials, temperature changes, and heat. It's a great honor to be here and grateful. Thank you for having me, Jill.
Yes. I'll have everybody just briefly introduce themselves. We'll go start with you, Hill, and then move on through and tell where you're from and your business and kind of what you're known for, your specialty.
Okay, hi, I'm Hill Rondero. My company is Row House in Charlotte, North Carolina. We primarily work on luxury renovations, new home builds, and some interior design as well. We've been in business for a little over 10 years, and we're super happy to be here.
Hi everyone, my name's Hillary Cohen. I'm from Basking Ridge, New Jersey. My firm is HCO Interiors. We're an interior design firm and we focus on whole home renovations. And similar, we've been in business for about 10 years now.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Ferguson, and I come from Toronto, Canada. I own a residential interior design firm in Toronto. We are known for color and maximalism, and we've been in business for about 25 years now.
So as we approach the topic of the Maker's Mark today, I just kind of want to set it up a little bit of the areas we're going to cover. So we know we're hearing a lot about nostalgia these days, which by my brand, you can imagine my love, but that it's not necessarily just a nostalgia play, that craft appears in every level, every design discipline, every type of material. And so we'll try to touch on today a little bit about where those intersection points are between craft and the need to have technology and the tie between craft and performance and endurance, longevity, and also that we are collaborators, that it's important as designers to collaborate with the people who are helping you kit out your kitchens and baths, and how you can get something very special out of that, and the different ways that as designers you all find and source and collaborate on product with each other. So that's what we're going to kind of cover, and then in the end we will have time for Q&A. So if you have some, keep them in mind, and we have a roving microphone that you can ask those towards the end. So we will start everything off by just first asking, when if I say craft, what do you feel like that actually means in your work today? So you each get a chance at the microphone to say what that means to you in your business.
For us, I would say craft really means handmade. It is not machine generated. Machines may help, but it tends to be a collaboration between two people who have different ideas. One who has great knowledge in a material, be it brass, be it polymers, be it wood, and the collaboration with me, who constantly has an idea, and most of our conversations start like that. I had this idea, which generally generates a lot of, what is she going to say? Followed by, I don't know if we can do that. But I think for our client base, truly craft is about making something custom that truly is theirs. It is not mass production. It is not found in their neighbor's home. It is not found at a big retail store. It's about that personalized touch that we have generated for each of our projects with Craftsman and with our own design teams.
That's great. So for us, I think craftsmanship is really about tailoring. So one of the things we pride ourselves on is each project is different for each client. We really want to tailor it specifically to their lives, to how they interact with their surfaces, with their furniture, every little detail we can think of. So how do we kind of create this special environment that's designed for the personality of the person that we're working for? So we really kind of take a personal approach. So it's not just the materials, but the craft of our design and how it can change their daily, everyday lives and make it a little bit better for them.
Amazing. And I will also provide a little bit of a manufacturing twist to it. So because craft plays a crucial role in Maestrobat production lines, and I can start by an example. So we manufacture crystal bathroom sinks, and I always think about it as baking a cake. So you have to start with precise and exact measurements of ingredients. So for crystal bathroom sinks, silica sand, the purest and finest, is the raw material that you have to make sure you cannot replace with any other regular sand. So it starts with the right ingredient, as I mentioned, and you have to feed it into an oven, or let's say a furnace, with 1400 degrees Celsius. And then as a result, you get this liquid molten glass that is flowing like a honey. It has honey-like consistency. And now that's where an artisan with decades of craftsmanship technique, they have to balance their breath, gravity, and in a very narrow window, turn a molten glass into a jewelry of a crystal bathroom sink. So that's what we see truly as craftsmanship. But the question is, can we scale it? Right now you have digital advancement in digital shaping, in engraving, casting, so you can, but that human touch and also intervention is needed at the final 10% of the production line to get that brilliance, to get that perfect cut, and I believe that's true luxury.
Oh, okay, thank you. When I think of craft, I might think of it a little differently than an actual object or something that's made. I might think of it in terms of like how something's fabricated, and that person is the craftsman. So sometimes I'd love everything to be handmade and beautiful and so elevated, but sometimes in our design we have to layer it in and have an approach where we pick and choose the things that are really crafted by hand. So we may have such a layering effect. So with the craftsmen that we work with that are really into their, I guess, if they're metal fabricators or specifically like if there's a certain tile installer that's such a beautiful craftsman, I really think that's also a way to look at it as their craft, because we've all had the kind of problems where we've hired people to do things that it's not really a craft to them. Maybe it's a job. So I think looking at it as far as like the team approach and how we're all kind of joining in, and some people are craftsmen, some maybe not, but it's definitely important that we obviously engage the people that it is their craft and they're kind of really amazing at what they do.
Yeah, the maker is at every touch. It's in every level of the project. Is there something you each can think of that tends to surprise your clients, the way that it's made, that such attention to detail, such thoughtfulness, such rigor goes into it that just kind of blows their minds? Go for it.
I would say for me, it's really our custom lighting that we do. I think that when we talk to a client and we've given them a rendered image of the inspiration, the idea in our head, and they say, oh, that would be great, go ahead. What they don't begin to understand is that there's electricity that we have to worry about, that there's tubing, there are metals, there may be plaster, there may be applications, there's different hanging weights and everything that goes into it. so that by the time a light is actually hanging in their living room or their dining room, it may have actually touched 10 people and their craft to bring that piece together. And I think that it's underestimated and not understood, which, of course, that's part of the storytelling that is our obligation as designers, is to tell the story of the craftsman in order to have the client truly buy into our vision and what we're trying to do.
I think custom is definitely one of the things that is the most underestimated, because they'll look at a picture and they'll bring it to us and say, I love this, put this in my house. And they don't understand what the level of detail is, even for a bathroom vanity. The transition between the stone to the cabinetry, how the drawers open, how the plumbing is encased inside. There are so many details before that simple little vanity gets to their bathroom that we have to consider and talk to different vendors, the stone vendor, the plumber, the woodworker, all of these different people. So the same thing, there's 10 people involved in anything custom.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think to follow up on that, one of the key surprises that when we explain the manufacturing process to some of our clientele is that if you think about the productions between 1 to 100%, how many times a craft piece that requires the customization is getting rejected by a human being toward that final 10% of the production. They think that it starts in the production and it'll complete 100% of the time. The surprise is that that's not the case. Those attention to the detail and those customizations, in a lot of cases, is going to go ahead and reject the process of getting that piece into the final production. And that's where I believe the surprise is for a lot of our customers. They think that once you get in, it's going to be out, but it's not the case. It's not that easy.
I'd love to follow up on that. And just for an example, we had a furniture maker, super talented craftsman in Charlotte, build a custom closet, which seems like, simple enough, but he made it out of furniture grade. It was beautiful, stained. And I think the surprise is that it's kind of like watching the sausage get made, right? At first they expect, they're going to come install this closet. No, this is like a 3-day process where it's going to look a little off at first, and then he's going to come and he's going to layer in the pieces that make it custom and make it special. And then over time, it's like getting them to trust the process a little. And then the beauty, obviously will emerge when he's been there and touched it several times. And then that even with a really amazing craftsman, it's going to take some back and forth. It's going to take some tweaking, and that's just someone that's a perfectionist and good at their job. They're going to leave you with a perfect situation. So I think the surprise is in the reveal at the end after the pain sometimes.
So how do you balance that then, if you want something to be artisanal and custom and special, but it also needs to be durable, stand up to the rigor of the kitchens and baths, the moisture, the heat, the location, like what part of the country are you in? You can have a fantastic inspiration image, but what they want may not, it might take some engineering before it gets there. Like how do you talk through some of those things or any special situations?
I think for me, it really comes down to the experts. I'm not the expert. I may have the vision, but I'm not the surgeon. And so for me, I depend on my partnerships and my relationships in order to defer to them. They understand a budget, which is often the first consideration, which is, oh my gosh, this is so lovely. So what's your budget? And you tell them, and they're like, so no. But then we can talk about different materials. I don't know that. I don't know that if we used this instead of that, we can come in at budget, or that the functionality would be the same, or that the finish would be the same at the end of the day. So again, it's the experts. I'm not the maker. I love working with makers, but I respect their wheelhouse as they do mine. And I think that the expertise comes from the years that they've been in business and sharing that knowledge with us in order to empower us to be the best that we could in our execution for our clients.
I think it's also about educating our clients as well. So if they see a beautiful handmade tile with all these cracks and crevices that is gorgeous, maybe we don't put it in their backsplash that they use their kitchen because they're a professional chef or something like this. So I think it's really about educating and making thoughtful decisions about, okay, where does that beautiful tile go? Maybe it goes in your powder room where it's something I can get water on it and it's not going to be getting grease on it. So I think it's kind of making those decisions, and that's that's where we get that craftsman style design, really.
Perfect. Yeah, so when it comes to bathrooms, performance is non-negotiable, right? You have the hard cleaning materials, you have constant exposure to water I was alluding to earlier. So that's where technology completes craftsmanship. So right now we have more advanced techniques that we are moving away on the faucet finishes from electroplating, and all the faucets that we have at Maestrobat are PVD coated. So these are the new techniques that protects craft. Other examples would be right now we have advanced glazing, we have specifically anti-coating for the leaf finishes, especially in the past a lot of the gold and also silver leaf were prone to scratches, but now we have new technology, the anti-scratch technology. So again, on the glass you have the edge treatments, and all these technology improvements are enabling us to go ahead and protect that craft and a piece of art. For instance, on our bathroom faucet line, we have hand-decorated Swarovski crystal, which are being protected by the PVD finishes that we have.
I think it comes down to balance as well. Like, not to be redundant, but when we're kind of, working off of, say, an inspo image or something that's really inspired a client, to your point, Hillary, like sometimes it's just not right for a specific area, but we can always make a cohesive design where we can bring that element in somewhere. So it's kind of balancing the highs and lows, the things that if they love a specific finished floor that's a natural stone, and maybe but they're not so happy with the staining or the porousness of it, maybe we can find something that isn't a natural stone but could appear. That's where technology too has been crazy. I just recently saw that some new fabrication of porcelain that is, I haven't tried it yet with a client. I would like to. It has to be a specific client, but things like that where you're able to kind of like integrate technology and still make something really beautiful. Speaking of craftsmen, I mean, someone to fabricate that porcelain is really specific too. Yeah. So yeah, just an example.
You bringing up natural stone is a great point. That do you have a hard time talking people through sometimes how durable custom and artisanal things are? I know we talked a lot about natural stone and marble, and when do you spec it, when do you not? But how does that durability conversation come into play?
I think it goes back to the materials and how it's used again. And I find that it's the education piece. It ultimately is. We do a lot of plaster work. And I don't like creating homes for clients where it's look at it, don't touch it. We like doing livable interiors, so there's no red velvet rope. Don't go in there. We put plaster on the walls. And I think that it goes back to that conversation with the makers. What can we do? This client is really fastidious about fingerprints. What can we do? And sometimes it's a journey together with the makers of, we've never tried it, but maybe we could try it, and let's see how that works out before we install it. So I think it sometimes is learning together and having the conversations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always think of soapstone for kitchens as a good example of this. It's a beautiful material, but it is going to scratch, it's going to get dinged up, it's going to patina, it's going to look gorgeous, but it's not right for every client. So it's our job to really educate them and show them the samples that have been sitting in my office for 5 years that are dinged up, and this is what it's going to look like, so that they know and they can trust us that we're giving them the right products that's right for them, not right for everybody.
100%. I think similar comments here. Sometimes the client exactly is not aware of what they're looking for. For instance, they fall in love with our crystal bathroom sinks, and the first question that we get, is this going to shatter post-installation? Is it going to break? And there's just lack of knowledge that we've been selling the crystal sinks that we have for 2 decades. We had 0 incidents for this specific crystal sinks because of the ingredients, but we had multiple cases of glass breaking, ceramic breaking, but just lack of knowledge. When the quality and craftsmanship is there, it goes a long way in the client relationship.
Yeah, and I think it just comes down to that client's tolerance for imperfection, or if you call it patina, whatever you want to. And I think that's something that you can gauge with your client pretty early. And when they see homes that they like, and you kind of can point out, what you're showing me is marble and it's beautiful, but like you said, it's going to etch. So their tolerance, they may think they want it, but then as you talk through it, I think you can kind of gauge that and use it in places where it's smart, and other places use something a little bit, easier to maintain.
You don't have to have the entire thing matched throughout the entire house. We all know that we don't have to do that. We're declaring that difference is okay. Variety is good based on the situation, right? So in terms of craft, there's multiple things that play into it, but do you think that your clients value any of these things more over the other, like telling the story about why they chose it, why they love it, why it expresses them, as you guys have talked a lot about, or like, is it because it's unique, or is it because it's more, if they feel it's more tactile? Like, is there any one of those three things that weighs out, or is it all three?
I think for my clients, it's really about the fact that they get to be involved. So they're not involved in printing the wallpaper and hanging the wallpaper, but they may be involved in designing a plaster installation or in a light fixture that they saw in their travels and wanted to morph into something for their home. So I feel like, not to dumb it down, but we can all here, it's their arts and crafts project, and they get to tell their story to their friends when they come in, and there is an investment from them. It's theirs, and they've seen how it's done, because often we'll take them to the maker's studio with us so that they can see, touch, feel, especially if the price point is high. I kind of find that helps with the buy-in, is they get to meet the artisan, have the conversation, be there, and then they truly understand it, and they get to tell the story. So I think that having them invested is really, really important.
I do think it's a combination of all three, but for me, I think as good of a salesman as I'd like to say I can be sometimes, it's the tactile nature. When I give them a sample and they can put their hand on it, it's that connection, it's that human touch that they're like, oh, I understand why this beautiful soapstone is different than this cold marble. Like, I get the difference. So I think you have to show them something for them to really be able to understand what we're trying to sell to them and present to them.
Yeah. That reminds me, editor interlude, reminds me of one of the very best quotes I ever had from a designer early on in my editing and writing career, when I was asking about how you balance the budget, how do you balance the splurges, like how do you do that across the whole house? And I've never forgotten that she said, always invest in the elements that the client's hand is going to touch. What are they going to actually feel and touch in their rooms every day? It's the upholstery on the seating. It's we all know it because we're here. The beautiful turn of a fantastic faucet. Like, we all know how rewarding that is to have a beautiful mechanism on that faucet. It just feels good. The stone or the marble feels good. And like, as the designer said, are they going to touch the curtain rods? No. Like, just invest in these things. And to your point, when you're trying to get someone to invest in the craftsmanship, take them to touch it. Take them to see it. Take them to see, like Volvo does, right? Go see your car being made. Go to the experience kitchens. Go to a bath showroom. Let them see and feel it, because then they'll engage in it and value it even more. So, okay, now your turn. I had an editor
100%.
Interlude. Now it's your turn again.
I'm also guilty as charged selling products, so that's where it always starts. You have to hand them the product to get a feel for the uniqueness and the craft. That's sort of feeling at that sense of touch opens up a lot of different senses that you cannot really communicate and relay it through words. And that's where they would appreciate the uniqueness. And I think one just last point to add on is that also the story behind that and the human intention and where it's coming from, that really closes the loop. So I would say it starts with the touch and closes the loop with the actual story behind it.
And these are all great points. And another point I was thinking of is they put so much trust in us as designers that sometimes you feel a little guilty because you're making so many decisions. But I think a lot of times it's me knowing the products that I'm speccing. So, if I like a specific faucet or a handle that I use on a doorknob, like, they know that I've used it, I've touched it, a lot of times they lean on me. And so I think it's us really knowing what we're doing. And then, kind of if they want to personalize something, to your point, like on their travels, I had a recent person, it's really important to them to include stained glass. I haven't worked with stained glass, so, that's going to be something where it's going to feel very personal to them, but it's exciting for them to feel that involvement. But they may may not care as much on the doorknob. They'll say, if you like it, I trust you. So it's that, push-pull between what we're kind of choosing for them and how much trust they have in us. So,
do you think, and I'm going to have you answer this first so you're not always last in the horseshoe. You get first crack at this one. Do you feel like this is more of a resurgence? Like, are people more interested in these things these days, and where those sources come from? Because in our prep call, you talked about how not all these things of craft have to be antique. They can be modern, they can be antique. And do you feel like more consumers have the vocabulary and the interest and the intent than they maybe did 10, 20 years ago? Is it growing?
Absolutely. I think it's called imagery overload. So I think for years in the design world, once Instagram came around and once everything was so digital, people got inundated with imagery. Where it used to be us flipping through magazines and taking our time, now the imagery, it's just like always buzzing. And so I think when you bring it back to, like for you, to a traditional thought or a thought of personalizing a space, it's kind of the antithesis to what's been going on. And I see that resurgence where people are not wanting to follow trends. Trends like a bad word. They want something that's going to have longevity. They want it to feel like their home and not the image that they saw 20,000 times yesterday. So I do think that it became a lot, and now they're like, pause on that. If I've seen it 500 times on an Instagram post, maybe I don't want to do it, and then maybe I want to think a little deeper. So absolutely.
They've all been down that rabbit hole of Pinterest and realized that it's really hard at the bottom to figure that out. Yes. Yeah. They need you.
Yeah, I would say luxury clients are tired of seeing the same copy and pasted products. When you go to different websites, when you go, a lot of the showrooms, especially if you are based in Los Angeles, you go walk into, same thing, you just felt like you just went from this exact same showroom to another one, and that uniqueness, that I believe sense of someone really cared about it, back to my previous point, the story behind it and intention, I believe that's what right now the luxury clients are gravitating toward, and it's a little bit right now missing.
As an editor, I'll say the same thing. Lots of the same. I'm like, oh, it's lovely, it's beautiful. And I've seen it 100 times this year.
Yeah. I also think it's a little bit generational. So I think I have a lot of younger clients, young families, where they're used to, I can go online, I can order something, it's here in 24 hours. Why would I spend more? Why would I put all of that time and energy and money into something? They get it. It's gone in a year. It's gone in 2 years. That kind of fast design. There's a learning curve. So now they're starting to say okay, I don't want to do that anymore. They're slowing down. They're being more intentional. They're saying, I want to invest a little bit more. I want to find that thing that's a little bit more special. So I know it's not going to be here, not going to be in the garbage in 2 years. I know I can live with this in my house. So I do think it's a trend. I think it's cyclical. Sometimes everybody wants everything quick, and then they react to that and say, no more. I want it. I want something really crafted and something that takes time. So I think it's
longevity.
And they don't want it time stamped, right?
Yes.
So, and I think so even in architecture, you can see I know when that house was built, right? And so kind of moving away from that being able to be time stamped.
Yeah, I'm seeing my entire 1990s beginning career all coming back around again. It's everything is a 20-year time stamp. Just saying, we all know that. Yeah. Go ahead.
I think for me, it's more, it used to be high-low. I'm going to say now it's a mix of fast-slow. That in order to get a budget, sometimes you may have to click for furniture or a fixture, but then if you combine it and layer it in with the special, it makes it visually more interesting. And I think we're doing a lot of that where we didn't used to. And 100% my clients do not want sameness. Toronto is land of beige and gray, and everybody is the same. So I think I'm fortunate because I'm known as a maximalist and a colorist. People who come to me are not coming necessarily for neutrals. They want something unique and different, and they're willing to spend in certain areas, but not all the areas. So it becomes our job to interpret where to spend, where not, where we could get a quick win, and where we won't. And I think, too, back to the education piece about about the 2-year sofa. Everything is fine if you're clicking, but the story for our clients is you do realize this is not an investment piece. This is not being passed down. You will not be recovering this. The frame will fall apart, or the spring in the plastic plumbing will fall apart. And I think once we start to educate them about different price points and what you're actually getting and the functionality, the conversation shifts and there's a better understanding.
You had a great example we talked about where sometimes you source lighting that you have found you've gotten okay in some cases with some sources that may not be popular on this show floor. We'll just tread lightly into this topic.
I still can't believe I say this, but we're using Etsy a lot, which when I start that conversation with my clients, they're like, wait, we're crocheting and we're doing arts and crafts. And I'm like, no, Etsy has evolved. We have found so many makers on Etsy, and for my firm, the risk monetarily is small, because if we're buying a $500 light fixture and it comes and it looks like I made it, it's okay. We're not exposed at $500. But if it comes and it's a win at $500, we feel like we won the lottery, because it comes in 20 colors and I'm in touch with a maker and we can customize it. And now my client has something that is really impactful, but we didn't break the budget. So it's big bonus for small investment. It's hit and miss. I will say, with my design peers in Toronto, we get together for dinners and we exchange Etsy wins. So we have this Rolodex now of Etsy proven, vetted suppliers. And it's been a really nice, niche, fun thing to be able to do. And we're having shipments from all over the world. 2 of my favorite lighting designers are actually from the Ukraine. So there's a really good feel-good piece about buying from them.
Yeah. All right, we have one last question we're going to do on lightning round, because we're getting close to our Q&A time. So I'm going to try to combine those lightning round questions into one. I'll see if I can do this. What do you think the next, what are you excited about that's like the next territory in kitchen and bath or in design that is just ready for craft to be amazing, or some kind of innovation in, like you said, coatings, or something you've seen here that makes you think like, wow, this is going to change the game of craft? Lightning round.
One thing that I love, and I've done it myself and I hope kind of catches fire, and I think it will, is wood in bathrooms. Yeah, I love it. I love a nice soft wood floor under my feet in a primary suite.
Yeah, and now the stains and finishes are getting there. Yeah.
So I think one aspect is that luxury can be complemented, and that's what we are saying luxury clients are gravitating toward, to also have the product outside of craftsmanship to be connected to one of the luxury sectors of the market, like fashion. They're resembling auto. Last year we had a great partnership with Lamborghini. So automobile Lamborghini, as part of the company collaboration, we have a Lamborghini that has Alexa built into it. It has the same sound system as the Lamborghini car. So this is what the clients are, right now we are seeing, we have all these crystals, but this is what the clients are non-stop taking photos of. So that's one. And I would say the material itself, like the material, new innovative materials that we are offering right now with glass and resin, you can have it in flower shapes that was not possible before to get it in those shapes, and still last in a tub 400 degrees Celsius. So again, we have a beautiful it in champagne gold at the Maestro Bat booth right around after the Infinity.
What's the booth number? I was going to ask that at the end. Shameless plug.
Yeah, 383 between Concreti and also Infinity. So if you haven't seen a Lamborghini sink that actually has the same sound system as the car, we have one over there. But I'm in love with the tub because the tub has the exact shape of a flower, and it was one of our top sellers in the past years at KBIS. So really happy to bring it back to the KBIS again.
Great.
All right, my quick answer is, as cliche as it is, technology. Every person that I work with asks me, where am I going to charge my phone when I'm doing this, when I'm doing that? They all want that kind of detail thought through. So we're putting chargers anywhere we can. We're putting it under stone now. Like, any wireless charging that makes their life a tiny bit easier is a huge thing that I'm getting from almost every client I work with.
So back to the 1990s, hand-stamped tiles and antique tiles. I have a lot of clients who are picking up tiles in their travels, bringing them back and saying, we have to do something with these. And so we're mixing them in with other mass-made tiles in order to have a very unique backsplash or bar splash for them. So I think it's going back to we did hand-stamped tiles in the 90s ad nauseum.
Right.
They may be back.
I saw that Delft tiles were coming back in some sectors, and I thought, oh my goodness, wow, that's but it's beautiful.
That's what we literally just installed were Delft tiles from Minton from 1890 in a house. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. All right, I think we are ready for our Q&A segment. If anyone has a question, raise your hand because we have a roving mic out here. There it is. Here's our roving mic. You can fire away with anything for anybody.
Hi, I'm from Ohio, and we're pretty much basic. We're not East or West Coast, but I need something that's longevity. Which trend do you see going towards a kitchen? Because that's something people are going to live with for a long time. Most people like the white shaker. Is there something else that's going to have longevity besides that you know of?
Longevity, design style longevity to the coast.
Sort of with the white shaker, again, another copy and paste that we sort of discussed this a little bit earlier. But I would say with respect to the kitchen, there's two key aspects. One is the material and the type of the wood that the cabinet is made of. And the other important aspect that, over the decade, it plays a crucial role would be the hinges. So you have, for instance, bloom here, you have, grass, some of the, best hinges. I don't think that's an area that can be compromised. So combination of the right wood material and the hinges would, I would say, complete the picture. And you hardly see it in some of the, let's say, white shakers, because that's just a copy and paste to at least some of the crafters.
But I think white shaker is here to stay. I don't see it going anywhere.
No, it's not.
It's all what you pair it with.
And it can be a warmer white, doesn't have to be so clinical, but just that shape, whether it's a modern, a thinner kind of style, modern shaker, but I don't see that going anywhere ever.
And I think too that if you look at the trends that come out in, online and whatnot, if it's walnut, I know is huge for kitchens right now, you don't invest in the trend. You invest in the longevity. So maybe walnut is the accent, not the main player in a kitchen in order to make it fresh.
I'm so glad that they just said these two things because I just placed a cabinetry order for my kitchen remodel on Friday.
Is it walnut or white shaker?
Yeah.
Off-white oyster shaker on top, walnut finish, like light walnut finish on the bottom. And my whole goal of telling my kitchen designer was, what I do for a living. I am bombarded by images. I don't know, I sort of think I know what I like. Here's my Pinterest board.
Yeah,
help me make this happen, but please, this is the kitchen I'm going to live in. We love to cook, we love wine, we love all the things, and I'm not building this kitchen because I'm going to sell my house when I retire. I'm building this kitchen because I'm going to live in it and cook in it for 20 years. And I was like, help me manage that process and help me make sure my kitchen doesn't look like it doesn't belong in my house, because my house is 20 years old. You're in a neighborhood that it started to turn. I don't want it to look like it doesn't belong here. I want it to fit in with the architecture and complement it. And so thank you for answering and endorsing my very large project decision last week.
The other thing in bigger cities too, when you have smaller spaces sometimes, or homes or more historic, your kitchen needs to be a living room. So it needs to feel like an extension of your house and not, you spend the most time in it. You want it comfortable. You want art. You might want beautiful lighting that's soft. You don't necessarily need it to feel sterile, and so
Yep. Any other questions? Oh, good.
In terms of finding good craftspeople, and you feel like you spoke to the increasing emphasis on craft with your clients, do you feel like you're able to find the quality of craftspeople that you need? Are people rising to meet that need? And can you speak to maybe your most successful ways of networking with those craftspeople in person, other than Etsy or what have you?
I would say that access to makers has increased because of social media, which has helped tremendously. Those are good rabbit holes to go down. But I would say the best way to find good makers is to ask other makers. We have an amazing upholstery firm that we use in Toronto, and they know an amazing carpenter because they will work with the carpenter on some of their pieces. And then I sort of feel like it's vetted because my upholsterer knows my standard, and therefore her carpenter has to also be at that standard. I also find that artistic people chat. So my plaster maker knows an amazing glass maker, and so I'm always going back to my resources to ask who else they know, sort of like our clients would do. You know, you have a designer, who did you use? So that helps, and social media and sort of seeing, because of course people do show their craft on social media, and that helps. So then you have to go vet them. So the one caveat I will say that I'm finding is that as a business owner, some of the craftspeople, which I also find with contractors, is they don't understand scale. So they will say yes to everything, and then they're blowing deadlines, or they don't have enough staff. And so that's something that is always a challenge.
I do think we have a challenge right now of younger people not coming into some of these crafts as often as they once did. I have so many vendors, window treatment guys, my upholstery shop that have closed in the last 5 years because they've retired. And it's been a cycle of we have to work with these new vendors. And there's a lot of what I call like Instagram businesses that look really good. But then when we get into their workshops and we actually see what they're doing, well, we're like, well, this isn't exactly the quality we're used to. It might not be the right fit.
It photographs well.
Yes, exactly. So it takes a little bit of working. I have to go to their shop and see what they're doing to understand, or have them give me a video tour or walk me through exactly how they're building something so that I can vouch for them and say to my clients confidently, this is the quality of what you're paying for.
I would say our approach was to give you a shortcut. So anything with respect to the bathrooms, we work, as I said, with hundreds of artisans, and we have over 4,000 different product line that are each crafted. So like a shortcut for a bathroom if you're looking for a piece that has that heritage and not a copy and paste. So that was our approach toward it.
Yeah, I mean, we're sending too many kids to college. We need to just have them crafting and fabricating and learning trades. Truly, I mean, that's what I'm seeing. It's same conversation you're having, but I'm having it with the electricians, with the plumbers. So the people that we find are really unicorns now that are still really honoring their craft and building beautiful furniture. And like you said, we're leaving it to companies that can kind of hone that in and hone their craft. But yes, I my youngest, I have 3, and I'm hoping he doesn't go off to school. Maybe he builds a business and gets artistic all of a sudden. I don't know. But yeah, I think it is hard. It's definitely hard to find them. Not that they're not out there, but it's like dwindling.
I do think it's cyclical, though. So I do think it will rise back up.
Yeah, like we over-rotated.
Yes, exactly. And then we will start to see a resurgence. We're seeing it a tiny bit, but it's being patient.
I think you're right. You're exactly right. So the people that are going into the trades, my kids are in their mid to late 20s, and they have colleagues from high school that were like, yeah, that college thing, or it's so expensive. So that will open up other needs, other markets, and other opportunities. So I hope the same. Do we have time for one more question? Yeah? Or more? There we go. Always love a question from the front row. I was always a front row girl myself, too.
When you guys work with craftspeople, do you prefer, when you're customizing something, the we can do anything, or do you prefer a good process?
I like a combo. My pet peeve is when somebody says, don't worry about it, we can handle it. Because I do worry. I will worry all the time, whether you tell me not to worry or not. So I like someone who says, okay, that might be challenging for these 3 reasons, but here's what we're going to do to solve them, or here's what our options are if it becomes challenging. So I like a combination.
I would say the same thing, and I love references to past projects. So my plaster worker has done art installations. We've done lighting together. He had never done a mirror, and he said, well, I don't know why we can't do it. And I said, so how would you approach it? So it becomes a conversation, and he said, oh, well, we did this, where if I had taken that out and put glass in it, then there's your mirror. So being able to reference past techniques gives me a little more confidence. I also always warn my clients if it's new. So if it's new for the maker, I'll start the conversation with, they haven't done it before, but here's their approach. This is what we're thinking, so that I've also kind of given them an asterisk and a disclaimer and a warning. And 9 times out of 10, it works out beautifully, and then they feel it's even more special because they're the first.
Well, in essence, everyone, all craftspeople and artisans are creative people that love a creative challenge. Like, completely dig the challenge. And if your craftsperson can conquer a new product, a new technique, a new application, that broadens their business, I would think, right? And so you can all be in on the creative spirit together. And you have to add an 8,001st SKU.
One comment on that. So we try to also, as a maker who knows the material, really also educate them on the implications of their design decisions. So for instance, we have a flower that is wrapped by a silver leaf, but a client is interested in having it inside the tub as well. It's possible, but once it's exposed to the water, it's not going to have the necessary friction, so they can actually slip on it. So these are the key details that, sometimes even it might be customizable, but there's some implications, and they should be aware, and that's where the knowledge of material comes to the play.
We were saying last night, the limitation is only what you can imagine and what the material limitation is. Anything is possible.
That answer. Way to remember that.
See how I did that?
You
Good
did
segue,
so
right?
great. Thank you. Are we good? Are we at time? Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming and listening. Thank you to all the speakers. And Sepp, remind everyone where your booth is, and thank you for sponsoring this.
Thank you so much. Maestrobat, right between the Concrete and Infinity, down to the right. So we look forward towards seeing you there. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.